shit at this. Writing letters. I know what I want to say. I know what I should sound like, this thing I'm feeling, thinking. But the words don't come out that way, they just fall flat on the page and lie there. Speechless. Lifeless. Laura used to say I was good with my hands. Yeah, if you put a hammer in them, not a pen. Laura was my wife. But before she was my wife, she had these romantic notions. She wanted me to write her love letters. Finally, after about the third attempt, she said, okay, alright, you win. Just tell me you love me every now and again, and maybe buy me flowers. She spent the rest of her life reminding me to do just that. Christ. I even forgot to order flowers for her funeral. I did love her though, every day. Maybe I didn't say it enough. Maybe I didn't buy her flowers. But everything I did was for her. We met on the night we finished school. We were both 17. She was different. I remember that. Relaxed, not bothered, you know. Our friends had this front, this reputation to maintain. Reputation only they seem to know about, mind you. Christ. It was a chore talking to them. Not Laura though. She was easy to talk to, while everyone else was busy trying to get off with everyone else like randy pups. We just talked all night. She invited me to her sister's wedding that night. I wanted to see her again, so I said, yeah, sure. Why not? The truth is I didn't want to be out of her company. It was 2 weeks of the wedding, and I didn't stop thinking about her from the moment we parted until that day. Our parents were great crack, good, decent folk, you know. We all just hit it off, and that was that. We were together from then on. There are moments, sometimes big, sometimes small, that you can point at and say, that there. That's where the course of my life changed forever. Meeting Laura was one of those moments. Nothing would be the same after that. She was better than me though. Smarter, more ambitious, more adventurous. She wanted more out of life. I mean, I had dreams, but she had a plan. A drive I had never seen before. It scared me sometimes. I didn't know if I had what it took to hold on. I managed to though. She made me better, stronger, braver. You travelled the world together, worked in all kinds of jobs, lived in all kinds of cities, some places I'd never even heard of. I was so far out of my comfort zone I might as well have been on the moon. After a while though, I didn't want it to end. She gave me a sense of adventure I never knew I had. Then one day, it was time to go home. She wanted to start a family, and that was that. Another adventure I wasn't prepared for. A year later, we were married. A year after that, we had our first wee boy, little Joseph Jr. Everything with her was 100 miles an hour. My head never stopped spinning. I was happy though. A couple of years later, little David came along. 2 wee boys and the girl of my dreams. Things could not have been better. We had our ups and downs like anyone. But all in all, yeah, we were happy. A few years later, the storm clouds rolled in. Our life in the sun had ended. When Joseph was 11 and David was 7, Laura got sick. She hadn't been feeling herself for quite some time, but put it down to tiredness, heartburn, indigestion, getting older. Anything we could think of to not think of it. To not imagine that it could be something worse. It's only after the diagnosis that we realised what all that was. Ignoring the warning signs. Maybe knowing it was something bigger, but hoping it wasn't. Hoping it would go away quietly. But it didn't. It came at us screaming. Pancreatic cancer. Too far gone to do anything about. And the doctor gave her 3 months. We cried, held hands. Somewhere in the distance, the doctor was telling us what he was going to do next. I didn't hear a thing. I still can't remember a word of what he said. I don't remember how we got to the car. I don't remember leaving the hospital car park. I do remember driving. Everything got bright, quiet, like I'd woken from a dream and into a nightmare. I looked at Laura. She was looking straight ahead. We didn't talk. I wanted to say something. I wanted to fix it, but I couldn't. I couldn't save my wife. For some reason, the time Joseph cut his knee came into my head. I say cut, he stabbed himself with a feckin' Stanley knife. It was my fault though, I gave him the feckin' thing. He turned up at my shed door one sunny Saturday afternoon. A big piece of cardboard in his hand, all excited. He wanted to cut a slot out of it so as he could see through. He was building a sled or something. Sure, I said, no bother. He was so happy, break your heart, you know. I just wanted to help him. Why I didn't do it myself, I'll never know. But he was like that, capable, always stuck into something. So off he went. A few seconds later I heard him screaming. I ran to find him standing there, blood pouring from his leg. My heart stopped. It was one of those moments where everything slows down. You panic, you freeze. You wish you could turn back time just for a second to say, "No, buddy, it's okay. I'll do it for you." But I couldn't. I had to deal with it. I picked him up, ran into the house, shouting for Laura, who came running. She sprung into action, throwing me a towel. I pressed it against his leg. It was red in seconds. I pulled it away to have a look, and blood spurted out over my shoulder. He'd nicked a vein. Then I remember he started laughing. It must have been the shock. I looked at him. He looked so small and pale. I'd gotten used to him being this rough and tumble little boy, getting bigger and bolder every day. But looking at him then, he was still just a baby, a scared child who wanted his daddy to help him. My heart cracked in that moment. There's a scar here, as deep as the wound on his leg. That's how I felt when looking at Laura. She looked so small, so helpless and afraid. And I couldn't fix it. I couldn't go back. And I couldn't make her better. She was a fighter though. Doctor gave her 3 months. She held out for 5. It's been over a year. I thought it would get easier, but it doesn't. The wound is wide open and it fucking hurts. When she left, she took everything. Our future, our lives, hope, love, tenderness, and warmth. Every day is dark now, cold and empty. And I'm full of pain and rage, and it rises up like an ocean and crashes down on me over and over again till I'm drenched and weak and I can't breathe, till I'm drowning in it. And the boys are drowning in it too. They've lost their mum. They're dealing with that. They don't need to be dealing with my rage. It's violent. They don't deserve that. David's so sweet. A tender lad. Such a big heart. His mama's boy. She gave him hugs when he needed them and kisses too. Wiped his tears and made him laugh. When she left, she took all that, and with her went the light that lit his eyes from within. And Joseph's just like me, full of rage and anger he can't control. I get it. I wish I could help him, but he sets me off. I used to never hit my kids, it was never in me. But now it roars in my head. A rushing sound, and the black wave swallows me. In it comes, screaming. And everything goes white. A flash too bright to see. I look at him, he's crying. His face is red. My hand is stinging. I cry. He stops. He reaches out. We hug. And for a moment everything is okay. Well, it's never okay. And I know in those moments Laura is up there looking down at me, screaming at me to stop, to leave her boys alone. Look after them, Joseph, she said. They're going to need their daddy to be strong, to take care of them. And I'm not strong, I'm weak. And I can't protect them from me. Useless. Useless, good for nothing. And I am nothing without her. I'm lost in the dark when she was the light. I still see her though. A pinprick of hope. If I could just leave this place and go to it. Everyone would be better off. The boys would have their future back. And I'd have my Laura.
Pandemic got me thinking. Just thinking. I saw all these people being creative. But painting. singing, dancing, baking. I couldn't do any of it. All creativity left me. All energy left me. I went inwards, deep down to a dark place I've seldom visited. It was peaceful at first. It was like deep diving off the drop off. Quiet, dark. We could still see the soft blue light from the surface. It seemed empty. Then I saw the shadows. Shapes in the water. Creatures began to appear. This is where I bury stuff. Things I don't want to deal with or look at or just throw it over the side and it's forgotten about. It's never really forgotten. Just waiting to resurface, so for me to dive down. But I never would. Unless there was a pandemic, a lockdown, hours upon hours of sitting in a house with nothing better to do. So here I am, in the deep and the dark, the shadows. I started to remember long forgotten pieces of pain, like the small stuff. Helen McCardle kissing my brother. She knew I had a crush on her. And in front of me friends too. I remembered they laughed at me. It was then I realised they had a lot less respect for me than I thought they had. I started to see less and less of them after that. It was embarrassment. Part growing up. If I'm honest, it's mostly the humiliation. Then there's the big stuff. The long shadows. Take time to pass. The great whites. Gliding, silent, deadly. Knocking me down the food chain a peg or two. I think of Dad in these times. His name was Joseph. I'm named after him. His friends from the old street call him Joey. We preferred Joseph. I think it's because that's what Mum used to call him. He got rough towards the end. He used to bait the living bejesus out of me. Even when he was hitting me, I still loved him. I remember him fondly up to a point. I tried to remember the good times. The fun times. Long summer days, kicking ball in the park. Warm winter evenings by the fire when they tell us stories. Or the secret trips to the sweet shop. Shh. Don't tell Mom. With a wink and a smile. The thing is, I understood every time that hand went up. And I'd already forgiven him before it came back down. Our pain came all at once. We'd received it together. It was life's cruel gift to our family. Mum died. Cancer. Just took her like that. The heart and soul of our family just ripped out. The light of our lives gone. And here we were, just drifting in the dark. Dad, me, David. David was 7. And I was 11. Difficult age, 11. Made all the more difficult by me being a little bastard. Oh man, if I could get my hands on myself back then, I'd wring my own fucking neck. Yeah. Everything was a fight. And if it wasn't a fight, I made it one. I always had to have the last word. Nothing was ever my fault. Here's Dad, still a young man, trying to figure out his own life. The love of his life's gone. The one person he can rely on and go to. And now he has to figure out our lives as well. I'm not saying it was right that he hit me. It's not. I'm just saying I understood. He should have got help. He should have done a lot of things. Look, I've a young lad now myself. Samuel, he's 7, and my heart swells every time I think of him. He pushes my buttons. What kid doesn't? Ever since the day he was born, I feel joy and true happiness. I know what that means now. I don't think I did before. The thing is with Dad, and the sting of his hand made me feel something else other than the pain I was feeling inside. It was like a bright flash. brought me out of it. It brought me out of that place. It was like a release. Flash in the darkness. I know it sounds weird, but that's just the way it's just the way it was. We'd hug. I'd say sorry. He'd say sorry. And cry. Everything would be better for a while. It eventually became too much for him. One day he left us with Nan. Said he was heading into work early, which was a bit odd. It was Saturday. He never worked Saturdays. Plus, yeah, he'd been up drinking all night. So I could smell it on him. I'm fairly certain Nan could too. She ignored that sort of thing. Didn't talk about it. Yeah, she was the generation that didn't talk about it. Don't get me wrong, she was lovely. She was loving and caring to us. I don't think Dad ever saw that growing up. Back in the hand kind of thing. You know? Different times. Yeah. Different times. The phrase that helps sweep a million sins under a rug. Strange thing is, he said goodbye. He never said goodbye. He always said, see you later, or be good. And we were never good. But we wouldn't see him later. Not live, anyway. His body was found 3 days later. Some poor woman found him as she was out for a morning run. I see her around. Pass her on the town from time to time. She knows who I am. Won't look at me. She does that look away. That's quite obviously a look away. Yeah. I'm sure when she sees me, when she sees my dad all over again, his body just lying there, cold, bloated and blue, she carries that. I don't want to be the one that unlocks that image for her on a daily basis. Not if I can help it. So I try to avoid her. If I see her before she sees me, I duck into a shop, walk across the road, turn around, walk in the opposite direction. It's this strange game of cat and mouse we've played for years. Dad's face was so badly bashed from the stones in the surf, they couldn't identify him right away. He has these tattoos of our names, Mam, Laura, me and David, with our dates of birth, so they knew who it was. It's a weird thing knowing that your own name helped identify the body of your father. I don't use that name anymore. I introduce myself as Joe. I prefer Joseph, but every time I hear that name, I see the tattoo, and I see him just lying there on the beach, even though I wasn't there. That image, just right here behind the little door. And the key to that door is my own fucking name. I keep thinking how cold he must have been. I just want to put a blanket around him, hug him again, say sorry, have him say sorry, and we cry. And everything just be alright again for a while. There was a letter. One for me, one for David. And some money. And we got it when we were 18. That was a nice fucking surprise. Yeah. Here's 20 grand. And your father's last words to you. I just hit the letter. Went to Bendo. It lasted 2 years. Spent a lot. And David guys, yeah, he was gone. Didn't even say goodbye. We fell out shortly after Granda died. He said he blamed me for making their lives a misery. I should have been enjoying retirement, watching Corrie with G&Ts. Instead they had 2 kids dropped in their lap. It wasn't exactly my fault, was it? Anyway, I hear he's an actor in London now. Fair play, I suppose. I don't know if David ever read his. And I haven't until now. I don't really know why. And then it occurred to me when I woke up this morning. I realised that It's my birthday. It sounds like I planned it like that. I don't think I did. Dear Joseph, my little man. Big man now, I suppose. I wish I could tell you how proud I am of you. I can almost see the man you've become. Handsome, smart, strong, brave. I wish I could be there to see you. Tell you how proud I am of you. I know you want to know why I'm not there, why I had to leave. It's hard to explain, but I believe for you to become that man, I need to be out of the way for good. I'm no good for you or your brother. I've caused too much pain and hurt. You need to be free of all that. I'm sorry for all the times I slapped you. I never should have done that. I should have talked to you and hugged you, told you I loved you. But every time I try, this anger inside comes out and I lose control. I'm sorry, son. I can see your mother looking down on me in those times, crying out for me to stop. And I can't live with that thought, with how disappointed she must be in me. My job was to protect you, and all I've done is hurt you. I hope you understand. I hope you forgive me. Love, Dad. Remember when I was 9? I had this grassy hill near the house. I'd flattened the grass and made a slide. Sent in the cardboard sled and just whoosh, we were gone. It's one hot summer's day. I was the only one there, and I'd found this long piece of cardboard I could sit on and wrap around my feet and just hold up to my face. I had this idea, if I cut a slot in it, it'd be like a race car. My imagination just lit up. So I ran to the house with the cardboard, and you were in the shed. And I asked you for a knife to cut the slot and explained my plan to you. You remember? You just smiled at me, amused, handed me the Stanley knife and just told me to be careful. So I cut into the cardboard and pulled it towards me, and it slipped right into my knee. I went deep. In less than a second, my pant leg below my knee was covered in dark blood. I started screaming. And you came running to see what I'd done. You just grabbed me, picked me up, ran into the house, sat me down, put a cloth on my wound, and Mum came running. A basin of water, fresh rags. She ran to the neighbours to get a lift to the hospital. So we didn't have a car at the time. You took the cloth off my knee and a spurt of blood just shot over your shoulder. I started laughing. It must have been the shock. But I remember, I wondered why you weren't laughing too. You just looked afraid. Just really afraid. You were never like that. You were always smiling, happy, easygoing. Mum got sick shortly after that. I saw that look more and more. I know you blame yourself. No, honestly, you probably shouldn't have given the 9-year-old a fucking standing ovation. But you were on the ball. The second you heard me scream, you were there. You grabbed me, brought me into the house, stopped the blood. Honestly. If I think about it, you probably saved my life that day, Dad. Do I understand that? I don't know. Maybe to some degree, even though I never felt that. I've had my own fair share of shite in my life. You're gone. Mum's gone. Grandad. David might as well be. I can't imagine leaving Samuel. I'm not you, Dad. I guess I'll just have to give you the benefit of the doubt. I found Samuel doing something the other day, and I called him on it. He said, you do you, Dad, and I'll do me. He's 7 years old, and he's already smarter than I am. So yeah, you do you, Dad, and I'll do me. I do wish you were here, though. I can't deny that. I wish you'd had a chance to meet Samuel. I wish he'd got a chance to know you the way I did. Happy, smiling, easy going. Yeah. Willing to help him. Save him. 'Cause I know you would. Just like you saved me. But that's the Dad I remember. Not what happened after Mum died. Not how he left us. How he saved us. After Mum died, it was like he wasn't driving the car. where they were taking us. It was like that for a while. Sure, there was a good day here, or a nice week there, or an uneventful month. The storm clouds always roll in again. We just didn't know if it was going to be a drizzle or a monsoon. That's the Irish weather for you. It sucks you to the bone. I turn to your soul.